everyone out there in wherever you are land. This is Koji Fox, Localization Director on Final Fantasy XVI, and also the guy that made this thing happen, Logos, the official lore book of Final Fantasy XVI. And I am here in London today with the writers of Logos. Hello, guys. We have Ollie Chance from Shloc.
Hello.
We have Stewart Clarke, also known as Dion the Bold. Ben Starr.
Hello.
Clive Rosfield. Chris York as Gav. And this guy over here, who needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway.
No, he doesn't get one.
Oh, no.
Morgan Ruston, also of Shloc.
Hello there.
And yeah, we're here to just basically talk for the next couple hours. It's not going to be a couple-hour video, so we're going to talk a couple hours. You're going to get maybe 30 minutes, hopefully.
Is that all that's going to be good in 2 hours?
I don't know. Unless it's all gold,
Well,
and then
that's
it's going to be 2 hours long.
Oh, guys,
Can I swear yet? I was told.
He was told 30 seconds.
I was
Has it
told I wasn't
been?
allowed to say a swear word.
Yes. We're going to be swearing, so if you don't like swears, you need to turn it off now. Go.
Who?
Good stuff. It's tricky.
I'm ready. We need to just end this. Can we
Don't
cut that
forget
out?
to like and subscribe.
If that was in the 30 minutes of good content, you were in for a while, right?
That's crazy.
That's it, isn't it? That makes the cut.
You'll know how bad it's been if that makes it in.
So before we get into the craziness, I want to talk a little bit about what the book is, Logos. But before I talk about what it is, I'm going to talk about what it isn't. It isn't a guidebook. It isn't something that's going to give you tips or tricks. It's not a walkthrough. There's no data on boss HP. It is not an Ultimania. It's also not a transcription of the in-game lore that Harpocrates has, the 1,000 tomes. The content in this book, about 95% of it is entirely new content. Only about 5% is stuff from in-game, so this is mostly new content. It also isn't a Encyclopedia Valisthea. Now, a lot of people look at this and think, oh, that's going to be like the Encyclopedia Eorzea from Final Fantasy XIV. It's actually similar to that, but we tried to do something new. We tried to make it more of a voice of Valisthea with actual characters in the game, recounting events, talking about their feelings. Ben does recount a lot of his feelings in this book. And so it's not that. So what it is, it's this book that basically gives you a window into the people of Valisthea. It gives you more of a background on all of those characters and all of those locations and all of those histories that you heard about in the game but wanted to know more about, and now you're going to get to know more about them. And I couldn't have done it without the help of these lovely individuals with me. The Logos book is written almost entirely in English. This is not translated from the Japanese. The team came to me and said, Koji, do you want to write a lore book? And I was like, yeah! It is based off of Maehiro-san's, the creative director. It's based off of all his notes that he had. A lot of that stuff did not get into the game, but we saw that and we decided it would be great to tell these stories. It's terrible that they're just stuck on a server. So we put them all together, and that's what we have. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about how you guys participated in this and how this got started. Where we are here, this wonderful hub, it was about a year or so ago. We kind of all gathered together and talked about
Literally right here.
literally right at this table here and doing it.
I think the table was on a slightly different angle.
Yeah.
But it was the same table.
Yeah.
Thinking back to that, what did you think at that time? What did you think you were getting yourself
Can I
into?
start with this? Because I think that I don't know about you guys. I know that like the tumultuous time that was recording FF16, right? And the COVID happened during that, bereavements happened during that, like just big stuff in our lives. I had a second child during that. All of these things happened, and like a constant throughout that was that project. These characters who I came to, the characters I came to consider friends, and the actors I came to consider friends. Just we haven't said, so me and Ollie were two of the performance directors on the project, and we worked with Koji on the script as well. I was absolutely going through bereavement in the sense, when this project finished, that thing was gone. And the idea that like, oh, I'm not going to be in the studio every day with these guys. and I'm not going back to Valisthea, it was really tough. So like this gave me at least an opportunity to keep them all alive and, you know, just be there for a bit longer and work with you guys a bit more. So that's one of the things it was for me, and I hope that the love of this stuff comes through in the book.
Yeah, I remember Koji. I think we had a conversation about it when we were in Seattle.
At PAX.
Yes,
Yeah,
right. So
that.
because I had exactly the same feeling when the game came out. It was very like, well, I remember you, Ben, as well, messaging me about 2 months before the game came out, and you were like, Stu, do you know how big this is going to be? And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, you know, it's Final Fantasy, yeah, probably pretty cool. And he was like, no, Stuart, this will be a big deal, mate. And I was like, okay, cool. Then the game came out, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And I had that amazing wash of the game coming out, having fan interactions and all that stuff, and it was this incredible period. And that was sort of, for me, capped off at PAX, which was about 3 months after the game came out, which felt like this crazy cool celebration. Got to meet all these fans, had that cool panel, and it did. I had that feeling of like, oh well, I guess this is kind of
Goodbye
in a way. This is the last big event of my involvement in the project. And then you took me aside on this. We were walking to that comedy show.
Yes.
So first night, Ben was like, guys, I booked some tickets to a comedy show. We're going. It's happening. You're coming with. And we were like, okay, yeah, let's go. Cool. And we were walking to this comedy show, and you took me aside and you were like, right, I think we're going to do this lore book. And I was like, cool, Koji, that's cool, good. Have fun with that. Yeah. And you were like, no, I want you to write for it. I want you to write as Dion. And I was like, you want me, an actor? a simple actor, man.
You've got this.
Yes.
You do nothing in here.
I just do words. I speak the words. They give me words, I say them. You want me to write for this character? And I was so taken aback because I've never had that in my career. Never had that where you are given ownership of a character beyond the performance.
Well, I mean, I think that's with Final Fantasy XVI and getting the opportunity to record the English first, is that these characters, while we had, you know, character guides that we handed you before your recording, a lot of those characters were created by you in the studio. We had an idea of what we wanted to do, but Dion didn't become Dion. Clive didn't become Clive. Gav didn't become Gav until you got a hold of it and started going in the studio. And then we would take those performances and we'd adjust our writing that came after that. So you were creating these characters. And so when I got this opportunity, you know, to create this lore book, I wanted to have you there because those characters are you. And your voice is Dion. And so to put that out there.
It was very humbling. And I was obviously very excited. And I was like, yes, let's do it. Let's do it, Koji. And then a couple of months went by, and I think we scheduled this meeting. Yeah. And then I got scared. And then I was like, oh wait, actually, like this is serious now. This is going to be actual published material that I'm going to write as this character who's very dear. This character is very dear to a lot of people, and I really want to do that justice. So I came into this meeting here very scared, but that meeting was great. And after that, I felt a lot more reassured, and then I had the best time doing this. Yeah.
I had crushing feelings of self-doubt throughout.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Terrible. But I mean, it was wonderful to have finished it. But like the things, you know, when we had our meeting here, part of it was about like, what do we want to explore? Who do we not want to leave behind? All that stuff. From your guys' perspective, you can come from the position of your character and like what experiences were left out and all those bits of background you might know that the public doesn't. In our case, having worked on the whole script, we don't have that voice to start in, so that we have to find some other hook. And I remember having lots of lovely ideas about it, and then thinking, "Can I bring these to the world?"
No.
Yeah, and it was tough. It was
the idea is very easy to have. The thought experiment is very easy, but then it's the actualization of that thought that's very difficult. But I mean, from the point of view of 3 actors writing on characters that they performed but didn't necessarily write on, it was a very interesting thought exercise and a tempting thing to do. And actually what I found when I was writing for Clive, so in it you will see Clive's diary entries, and we came up with the concept of why would he write these diary entries, and I really wanted to emphasize that the idea of memory loss is the reason why he would start writing. The idea of not being able to understand these thoughts that would fleetingly come to him and then disappear. So that's why he starts a journal, and that's why we have these kind of writings of Clive's thoughts. And I think it's a really fascinating thing to explore of a character who is so athletically able, who's so fearless seemingly, but has to write stuff down to remember them. And it was a lot easier than I thought to write because I'd spent 4 years with Clive. Mm-hmm. I knew how he sounded. And we even got to a point when we were working together in the booth where we knew if a line didn't sound right. We knew if a live was, and it was like, and we would sit there for ages being like, okay, so how do we make this sound like him? So actually, it wasn't as difficult as you'd think to make something sound like that character because we were so used to how that character would actually sound. And so writing in his voice was actually a really freeing thing. And I didn't realize how actually once you start on something, it's very easy to see something to its conclusion. If I started an entry and I didn't really know where it was going, it actually kind of concluded itself rather easily because the thoughts were pretty clear in his mind. He'd spent so long, there is so much that's in the game, but there is so much vacant space that isn't explored that we've lived with for so long with these characters that actually putting those down on paper was a lot easier than I thought that it would be.
Yeah, it was easy to write in the character's voice because 4 years of essentially researching. We did the game just so we could research.
Yeah.
The game was
This one.
Yes. It's like the prequel, really.
Exactly. And in a way, it kind of made life hard because as someone that works as a writer as well as an actor, making the word count became really hard because it's like, well, I've got so much that I feel like I can say as Gav.
Yeah.
But this entry needs to be 500 words. Chris is like, what about 1,000? So it makes life tricky. I think the hard part for writing Gav is a lot of the characters I've written in the past, I've cheat coded them by saying, oh, they're a big bookworm or they're a literary academic and therefore they can have an articulation or a poetry in their voice. And then you're writing as Gav and you're typing out like, oh, this is good stuff. This sounds so good. And you're like, yeah, but Gav wouldn't articulate himself in that kind of a way. And you have to kind of strip back the language. Yeah. And that was a really interesting kind of process to go, oh, wow, yeah, actually, Gav doesn't have like the privilege of education like Dion and Clive might have, far more working class and monosyllabic, and the challenge becomes, okay, I've got to actively write badly to serve the character. And that was kind of like a real kind of pleasure going, no, it doesn't have to sound beautiful. It's just got to sound like this guy from the north. So yeah, it was lovely.
But you're also a playwright, right? You write scripts and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that made life easy and probably made you guys feel like, oh, we can let Chris join in on this party because we know he can do a bit of writing. But I've never written in a space where theatre is so story-driven. And writing for something like this, it's like, no, this can just be a moment in time. It can just exist, and it is far more in the traditions of Japanese storytelling where, no, you can just write about a moment in time, and it can just tell us something about the character, but it doesn't have to lead to like a big crescendo of a climax. It can just be and sit. And I actually do think in Western storytelling we miss a little bit of that kind of just being and just kind of like enjoying a moment in time. And I think this book has and is going to have so many beautiful moments in time that fans of the game can like really luxuriate in and, colour in the rest of their experience of the game.
There's a sense of being in Valisthea for longer. And I think these little, as you say, these moments, just these almost like kind of sitting in a square and hearing a conversation over here and a person dressed this way and all that stuff. That there's that feeling, like you talked about, this is not an encyclopedia from a god eye. This is a set of, the idea is that it is an artifact from the world, written from the perspective of a bunch of people encapsulating something from that moment, and that's exactly what you just described, I think.
Well, I think that speaks to the scale of it as well, because that was another thing that came out of the initial meeting, is I thought, oh yeah, well, it'd be like three letters or something like that. Not literally. which Geo.
See,
And I'm done. There we go.
Wow,
Oh, burn my feet. Cody's gonna love it. But no, I mean, well, that's the thing, isn't it? We're all doing different things. Mine are set as letters to Terence. Everyone is a letter to Terence Center, which then Terence in canon has sort of brought to.
Yes. So the kind of the story, the concept of the book is that Clive, Dion, and Joshua have taken off for Origin in that last little bit where they give the hugs and they go off. And then Harpocrates and the rest of the people in the hideaway are left there. And they sit and they wait. And a couple hours or days later, Origin shatters, but the three don't come back. Everyone has their hope. Gav feels it, but everyone hopes that they're going to come back. But Harpocrates is looking at it as, well, if they don't come back, someone needs to tell this story. Harpocrates, as a scholar, has looked at Valisthean history, and he sees the Fallen, and they have this wonderful civilization, but they know nothing about it because the history is gone. They know little bits and bobs, but they don't know about the people that were the Fallen and what they did. And he sees kind of the situation they're in now, that if Clive was successful up there, it means there's going to be no more bearers, there's going to be no more magic, there's no more Mothercrystals. This could end civilization. And then everyone will forget what happened, and only maybe a few people with recollections of maybe one or two things will tell that history. And there's just so much more of that. So Harpocrates looks at this as, I need to gather as much information as possible. And not from a scholar's perspective, but just from the people that lived in this world. Every person has a story, just like Clive. Clive's story is very important. But what about Tarja? Her story is important. What about Gav? His story is important. Byron's story is important. And he wants to bring that all together and have it be a living recollection of this world. And so, again, it's Harpocrates writing this. Terence hears about this, and Terence's biggest fear is that people are going to remember Dion as the person that destroyed an entire nation.
We don't have to talk. Let's Terence
Sure. And so
he did do that.
One night, Christ.
It's in the book. He did do that. Yeah, he did it though. It's in a game.
It was an event. It happened.
But everyone played it. They saw it in the game.
Yes. But Terence knows that that's not the real Dion. He knew the struggles that Dion had. He knew what happened to drive him to that. And so he wants to clear Dion's name. And so he has these letters that he's kept there to him. He's never shown them to anyone else. But through the many, many years of their relationship, he held those. But he's like, okay, I need to give these to Harpocrates so that he can show the world who Dion truly was. And there's a couple that he probably left out because they're a little bit spicy. But most of them
were spicy. It's like, no.
Okay,
no.
There's 10 from the 20 years we were together.
But Terence, you've got 300 again.
Is it worth saying that if you get the deluxe edition, you do get those saucy? You get the saucy ones.
Yes, it's on Stewart's
Correct.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, for extra $10.
Myself will do some reading.
Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Patreon, right? Is that
Yeah.
Patreon?
Yeah.
But
Dion's
as
Patreon.
we're writing as our characters, the three of you are sort of playing Harpocrates. You are putting together this jigsaw puzzle of information. I know, Ollie, when I would be sending you new drafts of my letters, you kind of like, cool, more jigsaw pieces for the puzzle.
No, I love it. Give me it all. Like, so all the bits I loved was the small in-betweeny bits, right? So it's like, cool, we can tell the grander stories. In fact, this was the immediate lines me and Morgan settled on the opposite side of. Morgan's like, I want to know what happens. Like, at what point did Annabella stop loving Clive? And I was like, I want to do a kind of like small town romance between Bernard the Carpenter and Martha. And like,
Because that makes you seem more soulful.
No, because I like those bits, those in between. Because like this whole idea of it is a collection of stuff that maybe fell behind the sofa, like putting together whichever bits. And the other thing that was really good about it is we had such a strong cast. If you start thinking about, say, Quentin, you're immediately like Angus Wright is in your ear, and you're like, okay, this is great. This shit writes itself. Like, they're so nice, and like revisiting and all of those hours and hours and hours we spent in the booth developing those characters, and these being genuinely you guys' characters. And so it was easy and lovely, and it was just, oh yeah, who do I want to dig into? It was fun. I really, really I loved all of that, and so the more you guys chucked, the more fun I had.
Exactly. I mean, ultimately, this book, I think I did a word check before we came. It comes in at about 170,000 words, which puts us right around A Tale of Two Cities, the best of times, the blurst of times. We are the monkeys. That we're typing. But it was originally about 190,000. We ended up having to cut stuff because we just all wrote so much because you just get in it and there's all these stories that we wanted to tell. And it was hard to, say, okay, we can't have this in. I mean, there's a wonderful sea shanty.
Yeah.
Otto's favorite sea shanty
Otto's
from
favourite sea shanty.
from- he
I spent
was-
some time crafting that, but we are going to record it, and maybe we can all do a little bit of singing on it.
That'd be nice.
To that? Oh, gosh.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today. Don't worry.
Me sing? No.
Yeah, also, I know you're shy about that stuff.
Yeah, it's very hard for me.
Only with auto-tune, right?
But that was the thing. It was the scale of it was crazy. I remember thinking, went through that, and then I ended up writing about 16 letters. I can't remember, something like that. Yeah.
I think it was about
sounds apt.
Which
16. I think it was the same amount for Gav. I think I had Clive write a few more, maybe 20, 25.
Yeah.
But
So it's like it's a lot. You get a lot of backstory information, character work. It's not like here's a smidgen. Here's a little
Did
taste.
these make it? I can't remember whether these made it in, but the ones about the different bosses that you fight.
yeah, there were a couple where your thoughts on fighting Morbles, your
Yeah.
thoughts on fighting the Fafnir.
Which was really what an interesting thing to explore.
I remember you going, what should I talk about?
Yeah, because it's how do you phrase that? How do you phrase what is essentially a mechanical thing that a player has experienced? How do you then take that and write it down as if Clive were remembering what the player was doing, which is quite interesting. So then you start thinking, breaking it down, going, okay, so what are the iconic moments from these fights? And you start taking mechanical moments and turning them into kind of emotional ones.
Yeah.
Or like, what is the psychological effect of that physical thing happening to Clive? And so he kind of isn't just the player character. These are the effects that it had on him, and what would be the memories that he's taking from those fights, which was really cool to do. I mean, we ended up doing loads of them just in case, and I thought that was a really interesting way of exploring something that you have to do as a part of the game, but then put it into this book in an emotional way.
It was one of my favourite things to do in the writing process was describing and detailing the monsters. Because to write in a sensory way was really fun, because it's like as a gamer you get to see what the monster looks like and how it gets cut in half, but to know the stench of the beast, do you know what I mean? And to know like the rigours of it, I think there's just something really like lush in that. And until PlayStation or whoever figures out like smell-o-vision to come out your control, it's coming, it'll be there.
It's also available on Xbox as well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
PC. Now available on all platforms. Please don't forget to download.
But the point you made about it being derived from the game experience, I think that this is something that we haven't mentioned, that we had access to the Bible of the lore of this game, and so much was written which the public never saw, and that informed like lots of the ideas we had. Right, knowing this, please.
Yeah, My Hero Son, had all of this. With a lot of game creation, you'll have those creators, the creative directors will sit, and that first year of game development is just that person putting together this whole plethora of knowledge about the world. They're creating this world. And again, a lot of times when you're making the game, you want to focus on one thing. So a lot of that stuff never makes it in, but it's there. And to have that, having read those and saying, wow, this is a really cool story. It's a shame it never got into the game. And having an opportunity to tell those stories was, again, that was kind of the point of this book. And again, also having the voices of many do this, because ultimately Final Fantasy XVI was not something that was just done by one person. I was the localization director on it. I worked on the script, but it wasn't just me. It was myself. It was John Taylor, who also was a part of this. It was the whole cast, Morgan and Ollie from Shloc. We had other members at Square Enix as well, like John Crow helped with some stuff. I even have a writer friend, Alex Phoebe, who helped out with some of the things on this as well. And the more voices that you put into this, the more varied it becomes, because we're trying to make it something that's not written by just one person. It's compiled by one person, but it's supposed to be many voices. And I can try to do a lot of voices, and hopefully I can do them well, but there's only so much.
Are you about to do the Lovebirds?
No. Lovebirds. I can also do Obelus, the Boatman, which I did record, but they decided wasn't to be used.
Oh, there's some the hard drive. Or you remember? Ollie?
There were some technical issues, is what they said in the booth. We have technical issues, and we're running out of time. The studio is really just need to.
I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot of your Clive though as well, because you'd obviously laid down some Clive vocals.
It was Master Chronicler who said.
Ben, did you?
No.
Did I?
Also, fuck that line a little bit.
Oh,
I only brought it up
We
because I know how
talk
much
about
pain
We talk
it
about,
is. We
again,
cannot-
this might not make it in, but fuck that line. We. Oh my god.
How many times would you say we did that?
I don't know, too many times. And the joke was always we would go back into the studio and then Morgan or fucking Koji would be like, "Can you start with it was Master Chronicles?" Because I don't know, because we did this for so long, so many years, and so much about this game shifts and moves depending on what the circumstances are at the time, and so we had to do that introduction a couple of different ways, and I think over a period of months you just kept coming in and being like, we have to do it a different way this time because the texture of the opening changed.
Yes, and also because Clive had changed.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things we took, and we still didn't know who Clive was at that moment. You had been given the information, you had started it, but over the course of recording everything else, Clive had changed, and he wouldn't do it like that. He would say it like this instead, and so it sucked for you, but I think in the end it was
Ultimately, it just kind of became this on-running joke that over the 4 years I'd always have to re-record that opening line.
That was the most expensive opening.
Visual work's got nothing on that.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Is Moss in this? Is there some Moss stuff?
Moss the Chronicler. Yes, we do have a little bit of how Harpocrates first met Moss the Chronicler. There's a little episode in there, and how he became, his student, and so that does get covered. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the sections that we have in the book, and then moving on from there, I'd like maybe everybody to give us a little sample of what you wrote. So first, let me talk about what's in the book. So we have 5 chapters. The first talks about the history of Valisthea, and we start all the way back from Ultima Civilization history, all the way up to when Clive and crew depart for Origin. We go deep into those sections that we don't cover in the game, so early Valisthean history, before the fall, after the fall. We actually have stuff in those little gaps that we have in the game. So that 13-year gap, what was Clive doing, what was going on in the rest of the world. That 5-year gap after the fall of Sambrek and the Mothercrystal there, that, what were Jill doing? How did they rebuild? What happened after Sid passed? And we have some really good entries from you talking about passing the torch to Clive there. And so then we move on to the second chapter is about the dominants. And we have detailed sections on all 8 of the dominants plus Clive. And we talk about the dominants as well as their icons as well, and go deep into that. In the third chapter, we talk about the hideaway, and it's Clive's hideaway. In the history section, we touch a little bit upon Sid's hideaway, but we go into detail in the third chapter, which is about Clive's hideaway. And we talk about all of the characters, the people living there, what's going on. There's a great section on the animals of the hideaway. We've got something on Nectar the Bold, and there's parts on Torgal, Ambrosia, all of the good stuff is in there. And then in the fourth chapter, we talk about the Mothercrystals, all of the Mothercrystals, including the ones that are pre-game. So we're talking about Drake's Eye and Drake's Horn. Drake's Horn, yes. Drake's Knee, the hidden 9th Mothercrystal, Drake's Knee. It was, yes. Yeah. And then we also talk about Ether and the crystals and all of that sciencey stuff that goes into the world building there. And then the final chapter, which is actually about half of the book, then covers the 5 nations, it covers the cities, it covers the people that live in them, as well as the locations, and also just the minutia. We have anthems for all 5 of the nations. We have recipe books. We have school books with that talk about the education. We have 3 pages on the Iron Kingdom language and how it is formed. It's just all over the place. We talk about religion, we talk about history, we talk about people, and it's just a plethora of information. And that is the 5 chapters that we have. And so, without further ado, I would like everyone to maybe read a little bit of what they wrote. Who wants to go first?
From memory, right, Koji?
No, see, we have.
Okay. Hang on.
We have this
I'll just do
here.
some improv.
Read one of the recipes.
Jill, you're into the recipes. To dress a chocobo's head curiously. Is everyone afraid? Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you should go.
I can go first. Okay. So I'm going to be reading a little part about Torgal. Torgal was the hardest character to write for because, again, Torgal doesn't have a voice. I mean, there is that thing in the game that they added where you can kind of, get little bubbles about what Torgal's thinking. But I look at that as there's no way anyone could know. They need a reason to know what's in Torgal's head. And so I created this lore type of reason. Basically, on that final day when Jill is watching Metia fade and there's the tears, but the sun comes up, she's been up all night fretting about Clive and his safety. And so, and basically she's crying, but she gets it all out when the sun comes up to realize, it's a new day, it's time to move on. But she's tired. She hasn't slept. So she goes to bed. She pops down on the bed, pops down on the furs, and Torgal, who has also been up all night, comes up beside her, and they sleep together on the same bed. And we all know from Torgal being the Frost Wolf that there's this connection between the ether of a dominant and the Frost Wolf. And so basically they share a dream. And it's basically Torgal's dream of that time that he spent before, in those 13 years, that gap. What happened to Torgal when he was a puppy in the Night of Flames and his two masters are now gone and he's all by himself, up to when Sid finds him. And so I wanted to write about that. And so basically they're dreaming and Jill wakes up and it's like, I need to write this down. And so I have this 3-part section, I'm going to read one of the parts, about basically what happened on the Night of Flames with Torgal. And so I hope you enjoy it. I'm not going to do a voice, though. I could do my Obelisk voice. Ahem, let me do this.
Don't do it in Obelisk's voice, please. Please.
Rides over landbirds. All right. This is going to kind of be embarrassing. Because
Do you want me to go first? Because I feel like everyone already knows.
No, I will go first. Okay. Smoke. Too much smoke. It clogs my lungs, burns my eyes. But far worse, it masks the sense of all that is familiar. My masters, their sire, the round-faced man who gives me nuts. I hear shouting, but do not recognize the voices. I feel heat, but do not see the flame. I do not see anything. In the smoke, the world has become a blur. Where am I? How did I get here? I try to move, but my legs will not listen. I try to call out, but my voice has abandoned me. A deafening crack from above brings me back to my senses. Free from fear's grip, I dash instinctively forward, barely avoiding the stable roof as it comes tumbling to the floor. The stables! My master brought me here when some terrible old man said beasts weren't allowed in the keep's chambers. My bearings regained, I rush out into the night to find chaos all around. Men scamper back and forth across the courtyard, some angry, some frightened, all frantic. They scream, they fight, they fall. I dart through a forest of legs, searching for something, anything I recognize. But even out here in the open, the smells of smoke and blood and feces and fear are far too thick. I find the round-faced man lying in the mud and nudge him. He does not move. Then I see it, a flash of red velvet against the gray of the keep. A shock of gold atop a fragile frame. The younger master has come for me. I cry out, but it is lost in the cacophony that engulfs the keep. I try again, but it soon becomes clear that something is very wrong. Flames leap from the boy's back. No, not flames, wings. He turns, and the figure standing there is not one I recognize. Our eyes lock for but a moment before he turns to the heavens and screams. The world goes bright, then dark, then silent.
Lovebirds.
Lovebirds!
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And that's one of 3 parts. From there, it goes to talk about what happens after that, and then years down the road before he meets Sid. So very kind of, you get to see Torgal's arc, because that's one thing. Torgal is one of the main characters in the game, and we see everyone else's arc, but we never really know Torgal's arc. We know that he has seen some shit, and that has affected him in some way. We see him, chewing at the anklet, but we don't really kind of know why. There's these reasons that are there, but we just kind of take it for granted. And I wanted to give a little bit more backstory to that. And so hopefully this does that. Who wants to go next? Now that the
I'll do it.
scab
Yeah,
has
I'll
been ripped.
freely admit, I'm really nervous.
I'll do
So
it,
yeah,
I'll
Ben,
do
you
it.
go.
Ben,
You
all right.
go.
Let me get Ben's up.
This was an interesting piece. I don't know whether this was asked of me or
Yeah.
whether this is a tough one, really. This is the first time that Clive sees Annabella after he's basically been exiled and forced to fight in the Sambrek army. And we just thought it would be a really interesting thing to investigate how he'd feel about that, seeing this woman that he used to call his mother, except in a very different position. And it kind of, I mean, it speaks for itself, so I'll just do it now. I saw the Empress Annabella today. It was the first time since. The entire Imperial army was recalled to Oriflamme to march in the Gregor's Day parade. A parade that supposedly celebrates the glories of the Holy Empire. But there is no glory for us. No glory for those who are forced to fight in Grieger's name. In any case, we marched. We had little choice. And then there she was. The woman I once called Mother. Radiant in the glow of the midday sun, waving from a marble balcony. Admiring her foot soldiers as we trooped past, some of our blades still stained with the blood of innocents slaughtered in her treacherous name. She hadn't aged a day. I'd heard rumors among the ranks that she still struggles to conceive, that she lost her first before it was born. A tragedy, some called it. I call it mercy. Whatever becomes of any heir, it will not know love. She is incapable of that. Tomorrow we march eastward.
That's good stuff.
I'm glad we didn't do that first. We would just abandon this section.
So yeah, I just thought it was really cool to think about how he would feel about that, and we really wanted to pepper in the difficulty, the idea that people knew that she was finding it difficult to conceive, and then how Clive would feel about that, because his relationship with Annabella is that of a parental relationship that never was, and a parental relationship that was a lie. It was the only mother he ever knew, and then everything about it was like, well, I never wanted you as a son anyway. And him feeling abandoned, quite literally abandoned, and then seeing this woman in all of her radiant glory, knowing that everything that represents is everything that he lost, is really kind of powerful. And I really wanted him to be bitter. He's bitter here. You know?
Yeah.
You know that the counterpart to this is that one of my fascinations through the game. Incidentally, Christina Cole played Annabella. Absolutely incredible. Just super brilliant. And like the scene where you meet her in game for the first time after all the time, people come back to that one and come back to that one. It's pretty incredible. But I was interested to know at what point Annabella fell out of love, because I think what we learned from the Bible for the game is that she was under huge pressure from her mother. This bloodline, essentially, she had as much right to the throne as the Archduke did, and so she is meant to be the producer of the heir to the Phoenix and all that stuff. And clearly, because of the way Dominant's awake, when she had her son, Clive would have been that, everything that was promised, and he was handsome and he was brilliant at everything and all of that stuff. And at what point does his not awakening start to be like, well, maybe he still will awaken? We see in the game Jill awakens when she's in her teens, right? So it can take a certain amount of time. And I'm like, well, she has to have loved this, or at least loved the idea of being the mother to this person. And then he doesn't awake, and he doesn't awake, and he doesn't awake. And then Joshua comes along and he does, and that was to me, that was just a thing that isn't addressed in the game. And I just thought, how would the world turn upside down for her at that point?
And you happened to write one of those letters from Annabella to her mother before all of this goes
Before,
down.
Shall we do that?
So yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. I won't act it as well. That's a shame. But anyway, let's have a go.
Do your best, Christina Cole, then. Yeah.
So a little bit of background for this. The idea that where did Annabella's kind of notion of her sort of divine right almost to be the representative of the phoenix, the mother of the phoenix. And I think that what we settled on and what was in the Bible for the project was that she was bred to believe that that's who she was, right? And what we were also told from the Bible was that when that didn't happen, when phoenixes typically apparently are one of the icons that awakens quite early in the dominant, and it doesn't happen, and then whisperings start to happen at court, basically. And again, I thought about what would the company line be. Anyway, the crushing pressure from the mother is what informed all this, and the idea that Annabella had a terrible relationship with her mother as well is what's meant to come across here. So let's have a little see. Dearest mother, never have I wished to gainsay you of all people, but I cannot imagine how you could think that I have forgotten you. I assure you that any delay on my part in replying to the many letters is evidence only of the myriad demands of life at court. Indeed, those same demands may also be blamed for my failure to introduce your grandson to his beloved grandmamma's ancestral home. How long has it been since last you saw my darling boy? I fear it is not less than 2 years. And how he must have changed in that time. He has become the very spitting image of his father, and excels in all lordly disciplines. To behold him at the Archduke's side is a sight to stir the soul. Verily, when he awakens, as you may be assured that he shall, Rosaria will have a phoenix such as she has never known, and all Valisthea shall envy our noble blood, even unto the highest spire of Oriflamme. Yet in writing this, I realize I only increase your yearning to look upon that which I so inadequately describe. As you know, it has been my dearest wish that we should stay a while with you this summer, but I fear I must disappoint you in that regard as well, though it will be for a joyous reason. For you see, I am with child. The physicians say it shall be a boy, but I hope with all my heart for a girl, one to whom I might teach in turn the source of our sovereignty, and of the duty to which we, its vessels, are born, just as you once did. By the Founder's will may it be so, and may you partake of our joy in person, be it here in Rosalith or else at home, as soon as may be arranged. Until then, I trust you will forgive your daughter's seeming thoughtlessness. Your ever devoted Anna.
Really good.
Chills.
Get such a sense of expectation that is put upon her and then passed down.
Yeah.
And the evils that then come with that, right?
Yeah.
It's like reading that going, oh, this poor woman, wait a minute, she's a monster. That's what we want to see, right? How do monsters get made? And she's because they've been bred by another monster.
Yeah, generational trauma, right?
Yeah.
And there's quite literally that. Like, there's so much hope there, and it almost makes you sympathetic to her.
Almost.
Well, again, I think we in this game we judge people by their actions, and we can only judge Annabella by her actions because we don't know her character. We see her do things at certain points that are very hateful towards characters that we empathise with, and I think what a great opportunity for us to try and understand, not excuse behaviour, but understand it, that kind of adds to the richness of this world and makes it her death, the way she treats everyone, like, make that even more tragic. And reading that there is a life here that could have been gone so differently. I imagine that it still would have been an abusive relationship because that is what she clearly knows, but how tragic that it went the way that it did. And it's a great opportunity to do that.
Can we do some romance?
Some romance.
Yeah, I want to hear from Terence.
To Terence.
Yeah.
Well, then.
Okay.
Dion.
If I must.
Might I sing it?
So I've written a musical number. It's a duet, Koji, so if you wouldn't it's not,
Is
sadly.
it titled Lovebirds?
So this is the first letter that I wrote. It's the first letter of this collection. And it puts to mind Dion and Terence in their teenage years. This is after their first sort of frisson, their first not necessarily the first meeting, but the first time they've had a proper interaction. And this is Dion writing post that, and I shall say no.
They're together at military school.
Yes,
they've been sent away. So they're not in the court, but they've sent away to school.
Yes. This is how they've been able to see each other despite the disparity of their ranks.
But this is pre when they officially started seeing each other. This is when they're friends, but it's the bubbling.
Yes, the exciting bit.
Yeah.
Okay. My dear Terence, I feel such a fool. Can you ever forgive me? You were anxious to return to your post, and with good reason. And yet I insisted that you remain and discuss idle nothings further. I can only hope that you were not as severely punished as I. My movements, I fear, will be severely restricted in the coming weeks. Lady Gwyn has been assigned to watch over me. She remains as curtly uncommunicative as ever, yet I sense her relish at my plight in every flick of the page of her joyless tome. She is staring her thin-lipped stare at me as I write, Grieger taker. But she does not know that I write not the lesson assigned, but a letter to you, dear friend. Nor does she know how I revel in my disobedience. How do you inspire such anarchy in me, Terence? Why do I think not of the repercussions that might attend my slipping of this missive beneath the door of your barracks, but instead of how the sight of you unfolding it would send my blood coursing through my veins with all the heat and ferocity of the phoenix's wings? How I long to discuss idle nothings with you more. Let us pray that it be soon. Dion.
Do you think, right? Because you know you get that thing where it's unclear if there's maybe a little flicker or something between Joshua and Dion at points, right?
Yeah, I mean...
Is that Phoenix's wings?
Listen, don't tell Terence about that. Okay?
You know, you did meet at the remembrance ceremony.
All right, yes. Yeah, listen.
He's young.
There's an excitement and a frisson, of
There's
course.
enough Dion to go around.
Oh, who's next?
Gav's next.
Yeah, next.
All right, let me get
Okay,
there. Get it ready
I'll
for
read
you.
it for you.
Go on.
So do your Gav voice.
Wow.
Very good. I wish I had a turn of phrase as beautiful as slipping the missive.
I was going to say, when you were saying earlier, like, I couldn't use flowery language, I was like, don't you want to kiss me?
So I was reading that. I was reading that as you were reading, and I went, "This sentence is never ending." It's like the beautiful language was so.
Well, that's Harpocrates. That's the Harpocrates teaching
Yes.
Dion. Yeah, this is...
Yeah. Tutor.
See,
I
there
love
you
that
go.
scene.
There you go. That's good stuff.
So I suppose the background to this is I felt like two big Gav iconography moments are both your quest to go find the silver chocobo feather for Gav so that he could gift it to Edda and her baby, and Gav's Moogle charm.
Which is never touched upon in the game, even though he's wearing it the whole time.
And quite a few people have made me Moogle charms. I've got a box full of Moogle charms, which are gorgeous, gorgeous little relics to have. And so it felt only right that we dug into where that comes from and why it never leaves his neck. So yeah, this is Gav. I gave the silver chocobo charm to Edda yesterday. She seemed proper chuffed. Me and Clive had a few drinks to celebrate. Fuck me, I'm hanging out of my arsehole this morning. I must have been pissed because I told him about my family. He's the first person I've talked to about them since Sid. I've always thought of myself as a coward, only good for sniffing out trouble and then legging it. But I think that's what Dad wanted. The day my little sister was born, he hung his Moogle charm around my neck. It was his father's before him, and his father's before that. He said it would help me. That was the day the Imperials came. And when they came, I ran and I hid. Would they have found me if I wasn't wearing it? Who knows? But I like to think it helped. I like to think Dad and the Moogles were watching over me. Clive said that when he's gone, it'll be up to me to be the new Cid. I'll never be able to fight like him or lead like him, but I can keep my people safe, and I will. After all, I've got to stay alive long enough to pass that charm on to you, my own son, when the time comes. Yes! We can swear at you. Fuck me, that was good! Yes! Yes!
Yeah.
Yes, that just encapsulates so much of
Yeah.
Gav.
Oh, man.
The fact that he's go-lucky, he's light, but deep down, he questions himself. He exudes self-confidence until you actually ask him about it, and like he has no self-confidence because he's thinking about everything in the past, and he thinks even though he's the greatest scout, he's got the best nose for stuff, he helps his people, he's the reason, all those survivors from the first, from the Cid's hideaway were able to escape is because Gav was there when Cid wasn't there, Clive wasn't there, he was in charge. He was making sure those people survived. And even after all that, he still questions himself.
Yeah,
he still questions whether he's good, and that just...
It's never going to be enough reparations for him for what happened when he was a little boy and not being there, even though he was a little boy. And
what could a 10-year-old have done in that situation? But
yeah,
it's
absolutely. And I think that scene with Clive is so important to Gav's journey post-game that we never get to see, is because Clive is the one that kind of, I suppose, washes away a lot of that toxic masculinity and gets to go, no, we're brothers.
Yeah,
and
then
you have a family.
when he says brother at the end, it's just like tears coming down.
And that chink of the tankards, and it's a really important moment, I think, for his journey to also as well let Clive and Dion leave, to hug and be like, yeah, okay, I won't follow you, I will stay here and look after everybody else. It's a huge thing. Yeah.
So after all of that seriousness, we have a what is this? It's a nursery rhyme.
Yeah, I did write some bits in voices of characters, but nobody is going to want to see me read those. But in my head, they're good. But no, like I was talking about, I was really into the little in-betweeny bits, the bits that join everything together, the background lore. I really liked all of the histories of the religions and stuff for making up those bits and like joining all the bits. And then, so we were looking at a bunch of different books for inspiration, and there was Mrs. Beaton's, which we got the recipes out of, so writing in that old school style. I wanted to do my cider with Rosie, with Bernard and Martha, but you ruthlessly cut that.
Actually, I cut it and replaced it with my own rendition.
And then one of the other things, I can't remember if it was me and Morgan were talking about, do you know Struwelpeter, those German, they were originally German and then they translated them, and it's like cautionary tales for kids. If you play with scissors, they'll chop your fingers off, a demon will come and it's got that horrible shock-headed Peter, I think he's called on the cover. And so then it was like, you've got this society where you've got to indoctrinate kids into bearer, like believing that bearers are subhumans, all of that other stuff, and also into like crystals and the role they play and how you can't go wasting them and stuff. So I did write a couple of these which were a bit more sorry, I just touched my microphone. I did write a couple which were a bit more about the bearer indoctrination, but they did feel a bit heavy. So this is just one about a small child getting set on fire.
Just
Funny.
So Lily Smolder Skirts, it's called, and it's about why you shouldn't play with crystals. Lily's mother always said, never with a crystal play, lest its blessings go to waste and its magics fade away. More than that though, Lily dear, crystals conjure frost and flame. If you burn the house down, darling, who do you think will be to blame? And so saying, off she'd saunter, thinking Lily soundly taught, till one day she learned the hard way, things were not as she had thought. Little Lily, bored and restless, took a crystal in her mitt, held it high, and foolish child conjured up a flame with it. Though it didn't burn the house down, lo, it caught upon her skirts, and poor Lily set to crying, help me, someone, please, it hurts. None could come in time to save her. Lilykins was burned to death. Mummy, why did I not listen? Whispered she with her last breath. And from that you learn, don't play with the fire stuff.
That is good stuff.
Because there's something so. I remember that, like vicious nursery rhymes.
All right, well, we're kind of running out of time, so I'd like to wrap it up. But before we end, I want to ask you, what was the biggest challenge that you faced while creating the moments in this for the lore book?
For me, the biggest challenge was actually coming back to it. I think I'd left it alone. I'd put a pin in it, and I was so nervous about coming back to it and doing a disservice to the fans. This game is so loved by the people who love it. They have created their own lore, they've created their own worlds, they've created their own fictions in their head. And I think that's a beautiful thing that we as storytellers have allowed those people to believe in. And maybe there was a fear of coming back to it, that we were filling in gaps that maybe they didn't, they had already filled in themselves. And that was my biggest fear going into it. And then I realized that I don't think we're replacing anything. And you can see from here today, like, it is done with so much love, respect, care, thoughtfulness. We've spent hours, years making this because it is a gift for the fans who continue to pour their heart and soul into their own personal writings, how this game has inspired them. Yes, do we mention fan fictions, but what a wonderful thing that it inspires so many people to add their art to this game and this world. And we've added ours,
That's it.
It is an offering to fans.
Yeah.
That's what I think. This is an offering to fans who continue to love it, and hopefully this book continues to inspire more.
Yeah, that it can plant more seeds for players out there that love 16 to create even more, to go back and play the game again with a new perspective on Annabella, on a new perspective on Dion and his feelings towards Terrence.
Yes, we were involved in the making of this, but we are fans as much as anyone else. This is just our version. And I think that's so lovely to express that it's like, it's a tapestry, it's a quilt, and we're adding our patch, but it's still, it's one big quilt of stories and art and things that people have contributed 100%. Yeah.
I think that I don't think mentioned thus far is that my hero, who is the lead Japanese writer on this, has been through every line of everything we created and said, no, this bit's not right, this bit is right. It's been through that filter. So.
Oh yeah, I was going to say the hardest part for me.
I'm
writing into my hero-son's world.
It's his.
Stuff.
Exactly.
Wife is terrible. Like, that's the thought, right? That's so much responsibility.
I think me and I worked together a lot, so there was a lot of back and forth and just thinking like, it's sacred ground, right?
Yeah.
Like there are these people. It's so loved, as you say. So we're dealing with that, but we're also, this is my hero's baby, right? And if we go, well, I think this happened, and he goes, that's not what I think happened, then he's right. and so the sense of sort of tentatively pushing these offerings to him and being like, is it okay?
And I mean, ultimately, again, that's why it's taken as long as it's taken. We, had the text ready. I think we finished it many, many months ago, but we were waiting for him to do his checks because, surprise, he was working on Final Fantasy Tactics, and that's he needed to finish that first. But once that calmed down, then he was able to go through, and they did translations from English to Japanese, all the text. Mahiro-san sat down, he read through everything, he gave feedback, asked questions, requested changes. We went through, we made sure that we got all of his changes in. Then after that, we got one of the main scenario writers, Kazuo Murakami, and she went in and she checked everything to make sure that there was consistency in voices and across the board. I also had other members of the localization team check it. This has been checked by people who know Final Fantasy XVI, and all the way up to Mahiro-san has given it the seal of approval. They've approved all of this, and so while it is very interesting and different that it's coming from English, it has been given the blessing by the creator. But again, like Ollie said, up until that moment, you're like, he's gonna make me change everything. He's gonna hate the Torgal. No, Torgal wasn't there. Torgal, but again, because he had left us such detailed information, we were able to take that. And because we had worked on the game for so long, all of that is up here, and we naturally knew what characters were going to say and how they would react because we helped create those characters as well, and so that really helps. But
I like to think that this also isn't the answer to questions. This is the beginning of more questions.
Yeah.
We have, again, you said it so beautifully, like these are kind of almost vignettes and moments in time that hopefully will inspire people to imagine other more, their own personal moments in time, like the lessons to Terence, it's filling stuff in, but it's allowing people to imagine in a space, giving people opportunities to explore those. And I really hope that this inspires so many more people to kind of take it and go off in their own direction.
Definitely. I mean, I think the biggest challenge for me was getting out of my own way, I think, and getting over the imposter syndrome of feeling like I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to be doing this. This is not my place. But I think it was like you said, when you started, it just kind of came out. And I've always loved writing, but I've never said I'm a writer. And actually doing this has revealed something about myself, revealed something that I love and enjoy, and given me that space to explore that, given me that jumping off point. And as you say, Ben, I hope this serves as someone else's jumping off point. Yeah. And I hope it encourages someone else to get out of their own way and be the writer that they've always been. They just haven't had the confidence to do that. I hope in us doing that, that gives other people that opportunity, because I've cherished it.
That's nice, isn't it?
That was
nice.
That's a good closer.
Go write, everybody write. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's easy, and you too can be a publisher. I can safely say this was the easiest thing we've ever done. It was so simple and easy to do.
Well, Logos.
Buy it.
Buy it. I think it is just under $50. But it's got 383 pages. It's a full game's worth of knowledge. I think it is very much worth the price. And it's got a sexy faux leather cover, nice embossing.
Oh, that embossing.
Smells
Silver leaf.
so good. Smells so good. And it's coming out next March, I believe. All the deets are on the Square Enix store, so you can go there and pre-order whenever you feel like it. All right. Thank you again, everyone, for not only coming here today, but participating in creating this wonderful book. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Love you. Bye.